All right, welcome one and all to the Game Bolts podcast, Games on Tap, our second episode here. My name's Dylan. I'm joined tonight by Brett.
Hello.
And Kyle.
Hello, I'm the underage Fago drinker.
That's okay.
We need a resident milk liver every week. So someone to appeal to.
No, you're forgetting someone.
Who are we forgetting? No.
That boy!
No, God damn it, Brett.
I can't believe that you got that off.
The memes run rampant at the
I'm
Game
staring at the docket, and it says,
Just know
I knew it. I walked right into it.
in.
I hate you.
Cody's, what up?
Anyway,
I need to find the origin of the meme. Just please. I hate it so much, but now I love it. I gotta embrace it.
Games on Tap is a bi-weekly podcast that combines a social drinking atmosphere and discussions at length on video games.
It's that boy.
And
my kind of time.
oh my God, I can't believe that happened. So one thing I forgot to do last week that I'd like to do this week is to encourage people to drink responsibly.
Of course.
Whether you're drinking a delightful beer or, in Kyle's case, Fago. God forbid you get addicted to that caffeine.
Is Fago soda like a brand?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I've never heard of it. So.
Well, Kyle can tell us all about the history of Fago.
Oh man.
When get to what we're drinking, get to what we're drinking for the week. So. This is a podcast associated with thegamebolt.com, and it's streamed every other Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our next stream will be on actually the 1st of next month of June. And I've actually already come up with a topic for the next one, but I'll get to that towards the end of the podcast. For now, I'm going to introduce kind of what we do here on Games on Tap is instead of doing the normal Game Bolt introduction where we all talk about what we've been playing, we're going to talk about what we've been drinking or what we're drinking right now. We do a little bit of a review on an alcoholic beverage or a non-alcoholic beverage. We can kind of get both crowds in here. And then we just have a social hour-long discussion on one topic at length. And this week's topic is kind of the return of retro gaming. So how video games, the nostalgia of games from, the youth of the youth of the current generation of gamers. So people who grew up, with the NES, the SNES, the N64, and all that, are how those games are starting to come back. So for my drink this week, I'm actually drinking a Samuel Adams. It's the Noble Pills. It's actually the remnants of their seasonal pack that I picked up.
Okay.
And it's a pill. It's a citrusy pilsner, and I'm actually drinking it out of a lovely beer float that my sister and her boyfriend got for me.
Oh, nice.
And actually, it blew my mind because they were telling me what beer company it was. And it was actually what Jason had mentioned last week. It's the Spotted Cow Brewery.
Oh, okay.
Because he had talked about last week. He's like, "Have you ever tried Spotted Cow?" I was like, "No," but I've heard of it. It's the New Glarus Brewing Company. So I'm going to give this a shot. I'm a big fan of. I like IPAs, even though I've been going towards stouts recently, and I'm going to give this a shot.
Every episode that you got to do, I'm giving this a shot.
Yeah, no, you got to give this a shot. You know what? That actually goes down really smooth for a pilsner.
Nice.
I'm reminded of when I bought. There's the brewing company in New Belgium. I always get like their seasonal packs, and every time it comes, New Belgium.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of them, but I don't think I've had any of their drinks.
They do Fat Tire is probably what they're most known for.
Okay, I'm sure my brother's had it. I know of the company, but
yeah. Every time I get their variety pack, I get I shudder when it comes with the Ranger IPA. And the picture on the bottle is quite literally exactly what you'd expect from the Ranger IPA. It's just like a Forest Ranger cap, and there's just a bunch of like hops sitting in the cap, and it's up there with like it is one of the hoppiest beers I think I've ever had, but not in a good way. Like I enjoy a strong amount of hops, but in this case, it's like, ooh, I'd say it's on par with drinking a less desirable light beer.
Okay.
Um,
Right.
But this is the Noble Pils, and it's actually kind of nice. It's got a very small head on it too, which is cool because it kind of cuts the taste a little bit, and it has a very slight aftertaste that kind of lingers a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what IPAs do for me.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something in regards to oh god, I can't think of it now. I'll have to think of it later.
Okay.
Something in regards to beer. Yeah, I can't think of it at the moment.
Yeah, the one thing I forgot to do, I wanted to do last episode is kind of get an update on how everybody's drinks are going because I got to admit by probably about 3 sips, like I know I said like, oh, this Dragon's Milk's really good. Probably about 3 sips into it, maybe about a third of the glass that I had poured, I was done with that drink. I was done. I was not having it. I was like, oh, this is really sweet. I like it. And then like 3 sips later, I'm like, I'm okay without
overstayed
this.
its welcome.
Yeah, no, I ended up using the rest of it as a marinade for sausage, and it actually turned out pretty well.
There you go. I was gonna say, I would love like there are beer shows and like beer convention stuff. I would love a beer convention for like cool art, like drawn art on beers, and like the most unique picture or whatever wins.
So instead of like a video game box art critique or a movie poster critique, do a beer bottle label.
Yeah, you can really sense the artist's anger when he painted this dog, and it shows its frustration. It's like, oh man, that's some deep stuff there, Jim.
It's drinking a Rolling Rock and it's not happy about it.
It's so realistic.
You can just see the 50s advertisement on this.
He must have been a baby boomer.
Oh gosh, I think I'd have to give if we're going beer bottle art. I think I talked about it like briefly in the last podcast. The Bachmusking, this beer I had, it has the most metal bottle art I think that has ever existed.
I mean, it's German, so it makes sense.
It's German, and it's about a weird and it's a name for a weird recording technique, and the bottle art is a goat-headed priest that's like leading some kind of demonic cabal.
Is this a Frankenstein monster?
Yeah, it might as well be. It's the most metal looking bottle ever. I'm like, oh, that's so rad looking, and I've got that up there next to my my Dragon's Milk. Dragon's Milk actually has some pretty neat bottle art. I'm a big fan.
It sounds cool.
It's you know what
when I visualize Dragon's Milk, like it just maybe because I've been playing Dark Souls lately, like I just visualize like something with dragons. Like I don't know.
I do have to say that I've had Dragon's Milk on tap before, and Dragon's Milk on tap is actually I remember enjoying it. I don't remember having the distaste. I've had it before, and it might be because it wasn't the series that I had, because the series that I had was like some kind of more limited edition stuff. So it might have just been like the specific stout that I had picked out I wasn't a fan of.
Right. Huh.
Alrighty, well, that's what I am partaking in at the moment. Would one of you guys like to chime in with your beverage of choice for the night?
Well, I have a confession to make.
What's your
I
confession?
don't have a beverage for tonight. But I always forget, like 7 o'clock hit, I'm like, oh god, a beer. Like I don't have any kind of drink. But it was my brother's birthday on Monday, so we went out to dinner, and I had a beer there. And we went into Philly for Weird Sheep says, I'm so tired. I'm sorry to hear that. You should get out of bed early.
Drink some Figo.
We went to a nice dinner in Philly, and I don't know, like we have a brewing company called Yards in Philly, and they do a lot of IPAs, and I'm a fan of their IPAs. I don't know, like if there's just like they're just like Yards beer, like it just said Yards on the menu, and I had it, and it was really good. A little warm because the room we were in was like I think this was like authenticate what it feels like in Mexico, like it, warm outside and stuff. Like the lights were hot and everything, so it's a little bit warmer, but it was smooth going down, and it just tastes good. Like like it didn't taste like sometimes you can like taste a beer and like this tastes like a beer, and this one like obviously like this one like it tasted good for being a beer, like better than most beers I've had, and I had a couple and it was enjoyable.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever heard of that brewing company, even though I lived in Philly for almost my entire life.
Look this up. I think it's Yards. Let's see. And he's Kyle. You can go on with what you're saying. I'm gonna Yards Brewing. Brewing.
All right.
Kyle,
Well,
take us
all
away
right.
with your wonderful Fago.
Well, I'm actually drinking some cotton candy flavored Faygo on the rocks. It's but
Kyle.
it's just hey, gotta get those. I gotta get those words down. It's it certainly tastes like cotton candy, and yeah.
I can't imagine the sheer sugar overload that drink must be.
It says right on the label, naturally caffeine free.
It's
that
a
must be worth
soda
something.
though.
Naturally, oh man, what's the point? It's a lie.
So I have the Yards Brewing website up right now, yardsbrewing.com. And the two I've mainly had, it's Philadelphia Pale Ale, and then like a British IPA, and they're both pretty good. I prefer the Philadelphia one though, less bitter,
Yeah.
and I'm more used to it. But I don't think they'll list like it would be tough for me to find the one I had. But it was good, and if you're in the Philadelphia area, definitely check out Yards. If you like IPAs, they've got some good ones.
I'll have to, next time I go home, I might have to look them up because I'm out in Indiana now. But I'll have to check that out whenever I think I'm going back out for a fishing trip in a month, so that'll end up well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, but all right. So tonight's topic. We'll move on to tonight's topic. We'll check back with everybody's drink or lack thereof throughout the podcast.
Air. It's tasteless. It's colorless. Odorless.
It's 100% good for you.
Can't go wrong with it. Been drinking for 21 years.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So speaking of beer and air. All right. So I listened to a this is a great transition. Don't worry. This is a story that I have to tell because I didn't know this was a thing that was chemically. I'm going to say chemically possible. I listened to a radio show driving home every day from work, and one of the things they do is stupid people doing stupid things, and they talked about a party, a college keg party that had over 200 people stuffed into like one floor rancher, and it was to the point where like people were falling through walls and stuff when the cops showed up, and they had to call like 50 separate cop cars from like multiple different counties to control the party. And they said that like when they got there, the garage was actually, there was so much beer from the kegs that they had turned over to try to like get rid of the evidence, because that works.
Yeah.
That it was flowing out from underneath the garage door, and they said that the blood alcohol content in the air was 0.2.
Wow.
In the air. So you got drunk from being in the building.
I mean, I'm no expert, but I have to imagine perhaps people were releasing like a beer-induced oxygen via burping and such.
Well, it's like because they took all the kegs that they had and they were breaking the tops of the kegs open and pouring them everywhere, so it was just everything was flooded. And I was like, I didn't know that was chemically possible for alcohol for you to get drunk via secondhand drink.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's probably an uncontrolled environment. Like it's not.
Like
it's not like I'm in a friggin' science lab. Like it's.
I didn't know that was a thing that could happen. So I felt like I had to share that.
Like I would have to read it to like how to comprehend it, but like I kind of believe that.
I just ADD moment. I had to share that. So tonight's topic is the return of retro gaming. And it's kind of what we've seen over the last, probably over like the last few years, especially, has been the return of a lot of game designs that have shown up, or that showed up in the the kind of like the renaissance of gaming when like the NES and the SNES came out, with the N64 and the PlayStation 1, and how a lot of video games nowadays are starting to take design elements from those games and mechanical elements from those games and bringing them into a more modern versions.
Right.
I think the things that like we put out there were like Shovel Knight and Doom, Dark Souls with its difficulty, and then like Life is Strange and Telltale with it being adventure games.
I mean, even Broken Age and stuff.
Broken Age. I know there's other ones out there. I'm trying to.
That's one of the. Right, I feel like you go back to like the '90s. Like LucasArts games and stuff, like Day of the Tentacle and all that. Day of the Tentacle got remastered.
Day of the Tentacle, Grim Fandango.
Yeah. But like Broken Age is like clearly done from those kind of games.
So this episode is going to be talking all about just kind of like this new trend, and what whether it's one of those retro fads that shows up in fashion every once in a while, or whether it's something that can stick around in gaming.
Yeah.
So just to get some initial starts, what do you guys think of this modernized version of retro games? Like what it's says about the gaming community? And I'll let you guys chime in on that one.
I definitely love it because I grew up with the N64, so I never had a chance to play the likes of. I mean, I can playing through virtual console and stuff nowadays. But back in the day, I could never play, like the likes of Mega Man or Mario or Sonic, on those respective systems. And it's, I'm not going to feel nostalgic for them because I didn't play them when I was younger. I didn't grow up with them. But I definitely get a sense of appreciation for where we've come from. They were, perhaps they were simpler games, and they were, meant to be not more enjoyable, but maybe more accessible, and anybody can pick these up and play. You just got to master it. There aren't too many mechanics going into it, but again, I definitely appreciate these. The likes of Shovel Knight and such, where you can see the clear influences from all the different bosses from Mega Man, the overworld from Super Mario, and the changeable weapons from Castlevania. I'm definitely a fan of that because I get to see, this is what people grew up with, and why people still adore these franchises, and why some of these games, despite maybe looking 8-bit, still hold up in a gameplay aspect.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Kyle.
I think it's pretty cool that retro gaming is coming back. I mean, I grew up with the PlayStation, mainly the PlayStation and the PlayStation 2, so I didn't really play too much of Legend of Zelda or Super Mario Brothers. So I mainly grew up with, of course, 3D games. But what I think is cool about that is that now there's so many games that are so retro based coming out that it kind of being able to play those old games in a new light where it's more accessible. It's more accessible to me as a more modern player. Mm-hmm. And really, 2D artwork and everything, it's ageless. So,
oh, man.
You could boot up, Super Mario Brothers 3, and it would still look great.
Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
Oh
definitely.
god, yeah, the Chrono Trigger just popping up in the chat recently.
Oh, I love
So yeah, I think it's pretty cool that retro games are like coming back, and that people are actually putting effort into bringing them into like the mainstream again. Like I know Bloodstained is coming
Oh,
out
right.
eventually, and Ukulele and all of that.
Oh,
It's-
ukulele! I can't wait. I can't
I
wait.
want to play Banjo Kazooie now.
I I have Banjo Kazooie on the like on my Xbox, and I every year I have 3 games that I have to play through every single year. One of them is Halo Combat Evolved. Another one is Majora's Mask, and the third one is Banjo Kazooie. I do a speed run of Banjo Kazooie every year. And when I saw that like Ukulele, like the people who did Donkey Kong 64 and Banjo Kazooie were like, hey, remember those games that you loved when you were a kid,
Yeah,
but they died?
coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Microsoft.
Thanks, Rare.
Gosh, thought you were getting Donkey Kong, but no, you're getting just
You're just getting rare.
yeah.
Oh, God.
But I was gonna say, back in the day, these Super Mario Brother, these kinds of games were AAA for the time, and nowadays
Yeah.
AAA, Uncharted, and The Division, all that stuff, that's there because indies are so prominent and so relevant nowadays. People can make these retro games and these games inspired by the classics, and they won't be
Go on.
Sorry, I was pulling up the Twitch chat 'cause it was not working on my computer.
Birds.
It doesn't take too much to do them, like, I guess financially perhaps.
Yeah.
In comparison to the AAA games, like, we can have both the big time shooters and everything, and then we can have on the side these games that you want to feel nostalgic and you want to go back and see where we came from. These are there
Yeah.
too, and people are. It's an upward trend with the likes of Shovel Knight and Ukulele and such.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing.
If you back up to 2014, before like I think that's when we were still before we were the Game Bolt, when we were Ice DJ. I think my game of the year was Shovel Knight.
Oh, really?
My game of the year was Shovel Knight. Like it was the most fun I had in 2014. Like
Okay.
There
over
wasn't that much fun to be had in 2014.
well, that was the year that the consoles, like that was the year after like the cryogenic consoles got released. So like there really wasn't the install base was like insanely small for a while.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think thinking
Cody.
back on it, it was definitely in my top 3 for sure. It might have been up there with like Bayonetta 2 for my game of the year.
Yeah. Cody in the chat says Tropical Freeze was amazing.
It was so good.
I've heard good things about it, and I watched the Super Best Friends play it. I never got around to it though.
It makes me rage. I'm not gonna lie.
As a Donkey Kong game should.
Like I got to the final world, and I think I had probably like 4 levels left before the final boss, and there was some vine I had to grab on, and that was basically the gimmick of the level. You grab these vines to leap over, and go to the next one, and I kept grabbing on, and like it wouldn't register, so I kept slipping off, and I was like, by the end you probably have like 60 lives. It's not a big deal, and I kept dying. I was like, oh my god, like I'm grabbing the ledge and it's not registering. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, no, I know the struggle on that one.
Oh well.
Holy crap, that's going to be my next Twitch series, says Cody.
I will so watch that. Tropical Freeze is fantastic.
I'll watch Tropical Freeze.
So good.
I have to say this, like I think not only like my nostalgia for like games of yesteryear, like I love that I love that action platformers are coming back. I love that a lot of indie developers, like Yacht Club, are trying to bring back a lot of the older mechanics and aspects of gaming. But not only that, but not only do I enjoy like the fact that it's like, this is like when I was a kid, like when video games were, starting to like, this is like video games in its purest form of like just simply, this is a fun video game.
But I think the biggest thing that the biggest reason I love this is because I'm very much a scholar in that I like to study and partake in the things that everything else is built off of. Like I love reading the early classics of literature that have helped me to understand like the modern contemporary Pulitzer winners of today. But I like playing older video games because I think playing older video games gives you a better appreciation of how far video games have come.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
gives you a better appreciation of what video games mean in terms of not only development in themselves, but as a culture. And I'm so excited, like with the Nintendo Virtual Console, with all the stuff that they released on the PlayStation Store and the Xbox Store over the years, and with remastered editions and reskins coming out like left and right nowadays. I'm pretty excited that this is a trend that's been kept up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think what there's an RPG that I'm thinking of. Well, there are a couple that they go back to like the old. I mean, Divinity. I think of Original Sin goes back to those PC
Baldur's
RPGs.
Gate.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate. Those massive RPGs, each full of life. Goodness, I think there's one called Saturday Morning RPG. I haven't played it, but it has like a lot of touches to like the 80s and stuff, and like a lot of pop culture things. And just it kind of reminds you of the 80s, and it's such a cool idea.
I actually last night I sat down and played through all of Perfect Dark.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh.
I was bored with Dark Souls 3. I was bored with Fallout 4. Granted, the Far Harbor DLC came out today, and I actually switched my Xbox's location so I could download it early. So as of right now, I am a resident of the country of New Zealand. I played.
You get that Fallout 4 DLC.
Oh, dude! Man, I love Fall. I'm so excited. But I played through all of Perfect Dark, and it was the one that they released for the 360, probably like 4 years ago, where they retextured everything, and it looks so good.
Yeah, so I had a rare replay, and I played it. That's probably one of my favorite N64 games, and probably one of my favorite games in general. Played the hell of it with my brothers, and they were over for a night whenever rare replay was out. We kind of dabbled in Jet Force Gemini and Banjo-Kazooie and everything. We put up Perfect Dark, and I was like, I didn't know that they up-res textures and all that stuff to make it look prettier, and it looks nice. And like I don't remember all the little details in it, and I was like, it did something to it. And I'm definitely a fan. Perfect Dark is wonderful, and it's a good reason to go back and play it again.
Yeah. That was a pretty big one. That when that came out, I was like, I need this because like I remember, man, I spent I can't even fathom how much time I spent just like me and my buddies with 4 controllers playing against simulants on the N64, like at sleepovers, like pretending we're asleep when the parents come down, and then when they leave, just turning the TV back on and playing more N64 until like 3 in the morning.
3.
So yeah.
Low enough, like you can still hear it. Like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't play much GoldenEye. I think I played enough of it to remember it, but I played a lot more Perfect Dark. And then Jet Force Gemini too. Does not hold up well, but boy, does it feel nostalgic.
Oh, we'll get into that in a moment. So one of our topics that's kind of our introductory topic. One of the topics I'd like to ask is, so have you played games that either you personally or just of being popular games from yesteryear? Have you gone back and played them and they didn't hold up at all?
Now, can it be like via virtual console and everything?
Yeah, no, like it can be like virtual, like
or like PSN, whatever and stuff.
Yeah. no, just any game that like was released like 2 or 3 console generations and before ago, and that like were awesome back then but do not hold up now. Also, Weirdo Sheep says Jet Force Gemini doesn't hold up? Question mark. I like to play it. I liked it when I played it like 6 years ago.
I guess that's the first answer I go to. The control, at least on Xbox controller, are just terrible. Like I crash when I don't want to. Aiming is just clunky. It's just not the best experience. I loved it as a kid. I thought the level design with each planet was really interesting. The guns were cool. But I remember playing it. I had a lot of trouble with it. I was decent at it when I was a kid, but nowadays, I'm getting my butt kicked in, and it's like, holy cow! Like I don't remember like it controlling this poorly, and just it's not the best game to play, and in a gameplay perspective.
Weirdo Sheep says, "I'll tell you what doesn't hold up: the old Tomb Raider games. You are not wrong on those."
Yeah, I can't even play the first Tomb Raider anymore.
It's the platforming is painful. You gotta like tap the D-pad and like hope that you don't overshoot the angle that you want to jump.
Yeah.
And you have to stop and calculate every jump. Like it is just not fluid movement at all.
No man, don't even get me started on the switches.
Now before we
awful.
go on, are we going to talk about games that do hold up? Not going into
Yeah, no, we will. Well, yeah, we can open the floor up to games that do hold up. Like I think Banjo-Kazooie as a 3D platformer, I think it still holds up phenomenally. It still is. I think it's still. I don't know if it's necessarily relevant, but I think it's just as good of a platformer, even in terms of how the controls handle compared to modern day games, is actually pretty good. Compared to like some modern day games. It's a game that doesn't hold up that I adored it as a child. It was like one of my favorite games. And I went home over last summer and I got all my N64 games back and I brought them all back and to Indiana with me. And I played Army Men Sarge's Heroes.
Oh my god.
Boy, howdy,
I can't imagine
is that
holding
game
up.
horrible. It's amazing, but it's so bad all at the same time.
I played the hell out of 1. 2, I remember there's a level that had like these scary spiders, and whenever long ago I played it, I was probably like 7 or 8. Shouldn't be playing it, but they scared the hell out of me. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember them. They're in the second game, I believe. They were they were terrifying.
I have to say, my first run-in with a Cthulhian Eldritch horror was in the first Army Men Sarge's Heroes. Because I loved Army Men Sarge's Heroes as a kid. I was like, yeah, plastic army men like I play with all the time. There is one of the levels, it's the kitchen level.
Yep.
And in the kitchen level, if you go behind the refrigerator once you get down to the floor, because you have to like fight your way along the counter and then you have to get down to the floor, there's a bug behind the a hostile bug that's behind the fridge. And the thing that freaked me out about it most was not that it was a bug, but that it wasn't one of the enemies that was listed in like the little pamphlet that came with the N64 game. So it's like, what is it? What is it? What is this eldritch horror, this otherworldly god of like behind the kitchen fridge? And it just scared me as a kid. But going back and playing it last summer, like the controls, like you just run, like it's got like a really delayed stop on the run, so you'll like tap the control stick and walk forward 3 full steps. If you're in a full out run, you have to like deeply calculate how you're gonna stop, and if you can't, you have to like tilt the control stick left and right to try to like swerve back and forth. The aiming is like somewhere between like the original Doom, where you just fire in the general direction and it kind of hits them, or it doesn't hit anybody at all.
Oh man, I haven't played it since I was a kid, so I would love to play it again. But oh man,
it's brutal.
That game was so good though.
It was I enjoyed playing it. It was fun for me. And, it's something that I'd like to show my kids one day. But I couldn't. I was like, all right, I played like 3 levels of it. I'm like, okay, I think I'm good now. I don't need to keep torturing myself here.
Kyle, do you have anything doesn't hold up that you remember of?
Not that I could think of anyway.
Yeah, it would take me a while.
I tend to think fondly of my PS1 days.
Widow Sheep says,
have you ever gone
guys
back
had
and-
game Toy Commander on Dreamcast?
No,
I had a Dreamcast, but I don't remember that game. I think I only played Sonic Adventure on it.
I mean,
Oh, go ahead, man.
the first Crash Bandicoot does not very hold up well at all.
I was literally about to ask, have you guys ever gone back and tried to play the first Crash Bandicoot?
I
It is like
think I played Crash 3. And
trying to play like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh, jeez.
Well, so Crash 1 is really interesting. And actually any 3D PS1 game is actually really interesting because the PS1, even though it was a lot of the things that were rendered on it were in 3D, PS1 does not render 3D graphics well.
No.
So
it does not.
There's a lot of points where you're actually not looking at a model that's made out of polygons, but you're looking at a bunch of textures that are all floating together. And that's why, when you look at PS1 games, it looks like they're being rent out of existence and being thrown into the Phantom Zone from Superman 2.
Yeah.
I immediately think of Final Fantasy VII. The character models were just blocky as all hell.
If you want to see a great video on that, look up the video Pointy Bits by Onigi1.
Okay.
That's a fantastic. It's all about the pointiness of all the character models and then playing off of that. It's freaking hysterical.
Oh my god.
Guys, so what are some games that you guys have played that that have held up? Because I said Banjo-Kazooie. I think Banjo-Kazooie is still a relevant game nowadays.
I'm gonna
Final Fantasy VIII. Always Final Fantasy VIII.
I'm gonna need about 20 minutes. This is the only video game
Oh God!
can ever safely
Here comes.
say. What do you think?
Get ready for it.
What do you think I'm gonna say?
Dun, dun.
I think you're gonna say Dave Mirra's BMX.
Yes. with the theme song that's whatever Disturbed's first song is ooh ah da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Lovely.
This is the only video game that I will dare say is perfect. Chrono Trigger.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yep. Nope. I knew that was coming.
The 2D sprites. It's so pretty. The music is sublime. The combat, all the tech trees and doing dual and triple techs. Everything about it, it's just such an amazing RPG, and there are
definitely
over a dozen different endings, and you can take on the final boss whenever you want after you've beaten the game once and see all the different endings from certain points in the game's timeline. It is so good, and every time I think about it, I'm like, damn, that game is it's perfect.
Now, I don't mean to ruin this for the iTunes viewers, but what about Kirby Air Ride, Brent?
No, please.
Cody asks, what about Kirby?
Cody, the eye in the sky.
The guy who whispers Final Fantasy 13 in your ear.
Yeah, asks about Kirby Air Ride. So, this is episode 2, and I don't think I've ever expressed on this show yet that I adore Kirby Air Ride, and I think it is on the GameCube, and I think it's one of the great games of all time. I'm not going to gush about it. I haven't played it since 2001, 2002, whenever it came out. But I have to imagine it holds up well because that game is exceptional. But seriously, Chrono Trigger is one of the games I think about, and I'm like, oh god, I could play this right now. And lucky that I had the DS version, so I can pick it up and play whatever. And just I get lost in the world. I love characters, everything about it. We were talking about the soundtrack today, and it's just, oh god, it's special.
Yeah. I've never played Chrono Trigger. It's definitely on my bucket list of games.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have to say, like, I appreciate, like, I've heard the soundtrack. The other thing I really like about Chrono Trigger is I'm a big fan of pixel art.
Mm-hmm.
I love, like, it's one of the reasons I love Shovel Knight, because the sprites that they've made in Shovel Knight are amazing. Mainly because I think it's so difficult to make effective pixel art, because every single block and square placement matters in terms of trying to develop, like, making it look like this character is wearing this kind of outfit, or there's this kind of, like, the fact that they can convey texture through a series of of successfully placed blocks, colored blocks, is to me that's impressive. That's astounding, even more so than a lot of the stuff that they make nowadays with some of the games.
Yeah, it's a definite must play. You can see its influences, just complex characters and multiple storylines and everything. It takes from Final Fantasy IV's Active Time Battle, so it is Square, so it's no big deal. And like even like the box art and everything is great because it's done by Akira Toriyama. So you instantly had that connection because it looks so similar to a Dragon Ball Z character, a Dragon Ball character. Well, that's why, because Akira Toriyama did it, and just I cannot recommend it enough. It's not terribly lengthy. A little bit north of 20 hours, depending on how much you want to complete. But again, it's something at least you should at least try.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to talk about a specific game. This is the first game I have ever played, and I hold very dear to my heart. Legend of Mana.
Okay, I was gonna guess some kind of RPG. I was not gonna guess that though.
Legend of Mana, and this game is is still what I consider probably one of the greatest games I've ever played, and certainly timeless. Now, this is of course a sequel to Secret of Mana.
Second Densetsu 3.
Well, it's not Second Densetsu 3, but I guess it'd be kind of 4.
I'm just bear with me.
But anyways,
Cody says, I'm not really a fan of the Dragon Quest series, but I do love the character designs of Akira Toriyama, and it carries me through. Anyways, go ahead, Kyle.
this game, it's sort of like a pastel watercolor art style where the backgrounds are just sort of painting and the whole game just looks like a painting, a really pretty painting. And
yeah, I've seen screenshots, and it's definitely a pretty game, like the backgrounds and everything.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful game, and I can play it right now, and I'd say the same exact thing. And the soundtrack is absolutely amazing. It's done by Yoko Shimomura, which is the same composer who did all the Kingdom Hearts games and Final Fantasy 15.
Okay.
And it's just it probably has some of the best boss themes I've ever heard in a video game.
Oh,
Nice.
Play Dark Souls 3. Oh man.
Yeah,
And it's a great RPG. It's sort of like a beat 'em up mixed with an RPG with even Pokemon elements into it, just a tad.
This sounds
as far as
amazing.
breeding and stuff. But it's just it's probably one of the most in-depth RPGs I've ever played as well, because without knowing it, there's so many different things going on in the game that you won't even know were going to happen. You start the game with you have to start basically you have this whole world map. You can choose where to place your stuff on this world map, and you're confined to that. And based on where you choose, you get different stuff. You get you could be blocked out of you could be completely blocked out of different storylines and everything, just based on the location of a place you placed. So
I need you to know that based on what you just said, you've sold me on that, and I need to play that.
Oh, you do. It is
Like, that sounds awesome.
It is fantastic. In the game, the story, it's just so it gets pretty philosophical at points. The story, and it's probably it's a fantastic game, and I haven't played it in a long time, but I'd love to. And it's just like it took me years to actually beat it because it got pretty hard toward the end. And of course, like I said, you could be completely blocked off. I think there's actually stuff you can do in the game that completely blocks you off of even finishing it. So like you could have like different endings based on where on what you did and where you placed your gummy blocks at.
That's really interesting. Cody says, I played it a few weeks ago, and that whole town placing thing is really weird. Not bad, just weird. And then Weirdo Sheep says, my first legit game I completed was either Super Smash Brothers or Super Mario World. Smash Brothers definitely has a special place in my heart. It may not look the prettiest. It may not be the tightest, in comparison to Melee or the newest Smash Brothers games, but it's still my favorite. I know you mentioned Final Fantasy VIII is it's definitely one of my favorite in the series. I haven't played it in at least 4 years, but that game is definitely really solid. It's what am I looking for? Divisive among fans, but that's a game I recommend.
I have to say, for me, a game that it's slowly approaching like antiquity in gaming is, I think, Silent Hill 2.
Oh my god!
Silent Hill 2 is a game that not only holds up, I still assert that it is the best horror game. In terms of it is the best horror game in terms of, first of all, storytelling, because the story of Silent Hill 2 is intensely psychological.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I've heard.
It does a very excellent job of taking very human things and very human flaws, and then making them the game's central themes. And I think the biggest thing for me is, like, first of all, the game still looks good. Like,
oh, absolutely.
The character models are like, it's early PS2 character models, but like a lot of the texturing, the way some of the shots in game of, like, because like it's all fixed camera angles, the way some of the fixed camera angles look, it looks like a framed shot of a movie, and you don't get to see that in video games anymore because they don't play around with those fixed camera angles. It's all over the shoulder or first person view or like side scrollers and stuff like that. So there's like a lot of shots where you're walking down a hallway and the entirety of the screen isn't even used up. Like, the hallway is like maybe the center third of your screen, and then it's just black void on either side. So it's like looking at this Stanley Kubrick shot almost.
Yeah.
And the other thing I think it does that I actually don't know of another video game that does this, in which all of the monsters in the game are symbolic of different story elements. And they become more horrifying as you start to uncover them. Because
when I first played this over 10 years ago, I totally agree that how great it is. I haven't played it since then, so I don't remember much, and I got through at least, I would say, 4/5 of it. But when he told me about what the monsters represent, like, it completely blew my mind. Like, I just looked at it as a straightforward game. James is looking for his wife, and you're not quite sure of what's, who is who and all that stuff. And I didn't even consider the notion that, Pyramid Head and all these other, these mangled and disgusting monsters are just kind of James's thoughts being, transforming into not human, but a real form,
like a manifestation.
Yeah, manifestation.
The other thing that I like that they do is a lot of the themes and the topics they discuss, especially for its time in video games, because even nowadays, like, video games,
get under fire and under scrutiny for the silliest of things.
Yeah,
I'll cite when Resident Evil 5 came out and everyone said, "Oh, it's racist because all the enemies of the game are like angry black people." It's like, no,
it is
they're-
placed in Africa.
like it's a set in Africa, and that's the majority of the racial populace. They just happen to be infected by this virus. It's called
Right.
storytelling. It's called mythology. It's not like racial commentary on Capcom. But like there's a lot of topics in Silent Hill 2 that are very dark, and I'm surprised that it because it was a cult hit at first, and then it kind of gained momentum over time.
Right.
But I'm surprised that they just said, let's go with these extremely heavy adult themes, even for a rated M game, and just go with it. And they pulled it off. Like they pulled it off really well. Like nothing that happens in game is like a lot of the depravity of things that happen is handled in a very I want to say sensitive manner. And I adore Silent Hill 2. I still think it's a game that not only does it hold up, I don't think other horror games have been able to touch that level of internal consistency. In maybe I would say maybe Outlast, but Outlast doesn't have the gameplay to stack up to Silent Hill 2. Because Outlast is the same repetitive.
Yep.
Just run from the thing until you hit what is clearly an obstacle.
Yeah.
Outlast 2 looks really promising.
Outlast 2 does look really good. I can't wait.
What was that? You were like yawning or something?
Really excited. I'm super excited.
Or stretching?
He's
Yeah.
stoked.
I would love to play Silent Hill 2 again. Like I said, I haven't played this, and I remember getting it on my Xbox, and
Don't get the HD version. Don't get the HD remix.
no.
No.
Yeah,
don't.
that would be the only way I'd play it because it's
Like-
so expensive. It's
No,
so
you're not
expensive
wrong.
otherwise.
If
Yeah,
it is,
would have to price.
if it is the only way that you can play it, I will say go ahead and play it. But you lose so much value, aesthetic value, jumping
Which
from
is so weird.
the PS2. I know, because like they made the graphics look better and it made the game look worse.
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard that they lost like 90% of the game file, so they had to recreate the entire game
They
for
had
the
to
HD
recreate
remaster.
so much of that game because a lot of them just like disappeared. Nobody's like, I don't know where these are, and some of them were lost in a fire. So let's with a final topic here. I'll
Should
give
we do
it.
the quiz? Is that am I
Do you want
overstepping my boundaries here?
No, do you want to do the quiz or?
I wanna do
I
a
would like to
quiz.
end it on that.
Okay. So we'll let's do a final wrap up on this real fast and just say our final thoughts on retro gaming. I'll give my final thoughts on my my Noble Pills here from Samuel Adams. I'm still drinking it. I wouldn't go out and get a case of it, but if you like pilsners, I think this is a pretty smooth one, and it's if you want like a go-to pilsner, I would recommend this. Is what I would say about this.
7 out of 10. Solid.
Yeah, no.
I drunk off 24 ounces of my cotton candy Fagos. That must be for something.
Did it last?
Yeah.
Like did you like was it like good from beginning to end?
It just tastes like cotton candy.
Hey, cotton candy is always delicious.
Yes, it is. Tastes kind of weird
Now,
though
make sure-
because of it.
It's just liquid cotton candy.
I've had cotton candy grapes before, so
Cotton candy grapes?
yeah, just like
It
grapes that taste like cotton candy.
That defeats the purpose
Really?
of grape, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go with an 8 out of 10. Kyle, is that fair? Anyways,
So like final words on this, and then we'll get to the quiz that I've got set up. I don't know. I'm a big fan of like with a lot of the games that are coming out nowadays, like Shovel Knight in terms of its art style and it borrowing from a lot of different aspects of retro games. The new Doom, especially, where it managed to modernize like the old school arena shooter of just going to a level, decimate everything, and that's the whole point, and making it super fun to just
it's just, like, badass and,
slay demons.
like just it's fast and everything.
Yeah, like Dark Souls, like the difficulty of Dark Souls, like finally being a game that if you go back and play some old games, they're difficult because they suck in terms of game design, as opposed to Dark Souls, which is a game that has amazing game design and tutorializes you.
I would disagree.
Legend of Zelda 2. That was like a really hard game from what I remember.
I like Yellow's. I kind of hope that this is a trend that that continues in terms of bringing back a lot of these old mechanics and these old game designs. I really hope it's something that continues going forward in the gaming industry.
Yeah, definitely.
So my initial thought in regards, I guess this would be my final thought in regards to difficulty, like if games are going, like Neo and Lords of the Fallen, if they're going to go that Dark Souls route where they're difficult, I don't want them to be difficult just for the sake of like, oh, we're making like Dark Souls, it's difficult. Like, make it make it have that same satisfaction that Dark Souls has, where you're gonna get your teeth kicked in, but you're gonna overcome it, and it's one of the most satisfying feelings you need. Put your fist in the air and you're like, hell yes, I did it, whatever it may be. And don't just make it difficult because like, oh, like it's difficult like Dark Souls. Like, there has to be purpose to it. There has to be a reason I want to come back and keep trying.
So
on a side note,
it was pretty good in that aspect.
They finally got a Steam release, so I'm going to pick that up.
Of what?
Salt and Sanctuary got a Steam release.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to pick that up now.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty good.
As a side note, I finally beat the Nameless King on Dark Souls 3 solo, like without a summon, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Oh, nice. Cody,
so Kyle,
classic Mega Man still gives me that feeling more than Dark Souls does. Yeah, I mean Mega Man.
You know what? I won't dispute that.
Yeah, I won't either.
I will not dispute that. Kyle, good sir, your last thoughts.
I guess really, I'm kind of glad like retro games are kind of coming back because, like I said before, it gives me a chance and younger gamers like me a chance to play like what made games this special media, and so I'm kind of like excited in a way about playing these like more retro focused games, and of course adventure games are coming back. Life is Strange, Telltale games, all of those I've heavily enjoyed. Grim Fandango Remastered, I loved, and it's just like, it's just so cool seeing these like games that were kind of like really the it thing back in the 80s and 90s coming back sort of into the mainstream, just making it, just adding a certain flavor to the industry that has been present for a couple of years now, really.
Yeah.
Almost a decade.
Make video games fun again.
All right, so we're going to end with, this isn't the one that I found, but it was something I wanted to test Brett on with his JRPG knowledge, but I gotta go back and find the issue. But this is one of the quizzes in the back of the Game Informer, and this is for the Mad Max. This is before Mad Max came out, and I found this one instead. And it's is this a real headline or a complete fabrication? And they're all revolved
I wouldn't be
around
surprised if
video
they're
games.
all real.
Some of these are pretty friggin' goofy, and some of these are like are astounding. So the first one is it real or fake? So the first one is medical doctors quit lucrative practice to make video games. Real or fake?
Real.
Real.
Yeah, it's real. See that makes sense to me. They're following their passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, here's
pay grade,
here's another one. Man sick of Xbox asks for jail instead of finishing house arrest. Real or fake?
Wanted to go for real.
Oh God, I'm gonna go with real.
Yeah.
That is astoundingly. That is a real. That is a real headline, and I really want to go.
Wow.
I want to go hunt that article down and see what that's about. 'Cause
Wow.
how do you hate a video game system so much that you're like, you know what? I'd rather go to jail.
I mean, is it the OG Xbox? Because you can play Halo and
I don't know.
you can't get bored of Halo.
Is Xbox 360 Mr. Red Ring of Death?
Oh Jesus! Now I
All right,
bought him.
number. Okay. Game developer outbids Jay-Z for Beverly Hills Mansion.
Yeah,
God,
that's
yes,
true.
that's real.
That's true.
Notch, that's Notch.
Notch.
That is actually real, and I think that's freaking hysterical.
I
want
read
to
about
I
it.
want to know what game developer it is. I want to know what
Notch.
game.
Yeah,
It was Notch.
I never sure.
Oh, I was about to say Notch. I was about to say, like, what game developer has that much money? And then, yep, nope, that one makes sense.
There's only one Notch.
I mean, he had over 3 billion, so
Yeah,
quite a lot of money.
man.
All right, so you might be surprised at the answer to this one. PETA protests latest Pokemon game on launch day.
Real.
That sounds real.
That is actually fake.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
What?
Yeah, how has PETA not protested Pokemon yet?
They have
I'm sure. Oh no, I
multitudes
know.
of times.
They've protested Mario wearing a Tanuki suit, so nothing's really. Fox claims video games do not cause violence. There's a key name in there that just lets you know whether this is real or not.
Fox
News.
True.
They've claimed video games cause violence, so
Oh, it's fake. They
Yeah.
nailed video games to the wall for years.
yeah, definitely.
About
They
violence.
have a lot.
Oh well.
All right,
Poor GTA.
number 7. Couple starts World of Warcraft account for 2-year-old daughter.
I've been saying true for everything so far. So let's just buck the trend or keep it going.
I'm gonna go false.
Just keep it up.
Yeah.
It's
gonna
that
go
was
false.
actually false.
No.
Oh, I win!
All right. Taiwanese man dies after 3-day online gaming binge.
True.
Yeah.
I've read about it.
That's
Yeah.
actually
I've heard about it. Yeah.
the thing is that's so true that I have to ask which instance of this are you talking about?
Yeah, that's the sad part.
Sadly happened on numerous occasions.
Yeah. Yeah.
League of Legends, man. That's where it's at.
Oh,
Was that what killed him or why he died?
this AR-15 manufacturer bundles Call of Duty with gun purchase.
Jesus Christ.
I wouldn't put past it.
Yeah,
Don't
I'm
know what's
sure
real.
that's the case in like Texas. So yes,
We have to ask Grant. Can we get a call?
or
Can we
Nebraska.
call Grant?
I'd like to use a lifeline, please. Grant Ramirez.
That is actually false.
Oh man.
No, I mean they freaking paired
That's actually
Jeeps,
false.
so why not guns?
All right, and we will end on this one, and this one actually has some legitimacy to it. Fallout PR stunt leaves 10 with radiation poisoning.
Christ.
Maybe.
It's real or fake, Kyle. It's like the American elections. There's no independent. You're either left or right wing.
I want to be independent, but they're not going to win. So
I'm gonna have to go true.
It's actually false.
Oh man, now I'm
I-
tired of fret.
I thought for sure I read that somewhere. Then again,
Did you-
you said
I think.
you PR headline, PR stunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which if that was a real PR stunt, you would have heard about that.
Yeah. If I said it, I was like, wait, like PR is involved. There's no way that happens.
Be bigger than the Cartoon Network thing in Boston.
I don't even know what that is, but I believe.
All right. So that is going to wrap it up for the second episode of Games on Tap. Thank you for those of us who joined us, and thank you for those who are listening to this on either Podbean or iTunes.
Or what?
Join us again
in 2 weeks on June 1st, and the topic for that is one that I'm actually going to do a little bit of research in. I've actually got a week off leading up to that date, so I'm going to put a little research into it. And we're going to talk about ethics in the gaming industry, in terms of everything from how businesses treat their employees to how businesses treat gamers and consumers, and then even like the product quality of gaming in general. And I'm going to do a little digging around in that and
Like
find
EA
some
stuff.
stuff. Oh God, EA!
I know you'll have a lot to say.
I have a lot.
Konami.
I have Konami and EA.
Ubisoft.
I will nail. Ubisoft is hit or miss.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ubisoft is either Far Cry Primal or Assassin's Creed Unity. Like,
They're not as bad as some, but they're not exactly great either.
yeah. So that'll wrap it up for this week. Thanks for those of us those who joined us. Look out for this podcast, as I said. We do this every 2 weeks, and then on the off weeks we'll have it up for your perusal. Do you guys have anything that you want to plug that you've been doing recently for the site, or
Bingo.
anything to look forward to other than your Fago? Look out for Kyle's Cotton Candy Fago review.
Yeah. 8 out of 10 on the Game Bolt.
It just one sentence. It tastes like cotton candy.
I think this, I don't even remember I put up. It's been so long. I put up a piece on why I love Final Fantasy XIV. I'm always talking about it in the chats, and I'm sure people are tired of it, like, shut the hell up. So I figured I'd put it in written form and finally express my adoration for the MMO. And Overwatch is out next week. I'm very excited for that. I will be doing a review for that.
Overwatch
It's going to be so good.
gotta kill you.
It's Overwatch.
I played none of the beta, and I'm hyped for it.
The beta is so. If Game of the Year list came out today, the Overwatch beta would be in my top 3.
Just
Nice.
wait until you play Uncharted 4, Brett.
Overwatch is the best.
Just
Speaking-
wait.
Speaking of Uncharted 4, definitely check out if you're looking for a pretty heartfelt review on Uncharted
Oh, that's
4.
right, yeah.
Jason just put up his pretty stellar review. I'm not a big I've never played any of the Uncharted games, therefore I'm not a fan thusly. But his
also has a
review was
video
pretty well
review-
written.
a video
It was a
review,
pretty
too.
big idea of it.
Cody says, watch his Demon Soul streams. Be there. Kyle, you have some Uncharted stuff coming up, right?
Yeah, I do. I have a retrospect of Naughty Dog as a company and a games developer, and I also have a feature coming up that I'm currently writing right now of Uncharted 4 and how great it is at storytelling.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Nice. I am actually getting ready for a convention that I'm going to in less than 36 hours of this podcast being recorded. So I am full on convention mode right now. So
Nice.
I have nothing planned out other than the podcast in 2 weeks. But that's all for now. So make sure to check us out at thegamebolt.com. You can follow us at Twitter. It's just at the Game Bolt, isn't it?
The _Game Bolt.
Underscore, yeah.
All right, I thought there was an underscore. The
No
underscore
worries.
Game Bolt. And where can they follow you guys on social media websites?
And you can follow me on Twitter at Brett Woodmansey, WOODMANSESEE. Changed my Twitter handle to Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber. Had to change it up. So. Great movie.
Kyle,
I've been able to watch that. So
Kyle, where can they
And
find
my
you at?
my Twitter handle is clockdown R me.
a letter R.
Yeah, an R.
And you can find me at Optimistic Gamer 0PTI MYSTIC. Thanks for everybody for joining us, and look forward to seeing from everybody next week or 2 weeks from now. And have a good one.
Thank you so
There
much.
you
Guys.
go.
Take care.
See ya.